Hello, everyone, and welcome. I was on my way to go for a walk, and as I was coming out, I brought everything out. My landlord came out and scooped me up into a 45-minute conversation, and I am no longer taking a sunset walk. However, instead, I feel inspired to come on and share a little bit more about my life and my days and what I do. And perhaps some of this will be supportive or enlightening or comical or joyous for you. Today I want to talk about manifestation. All right. And to ask you a question, are you really manifesting what you truly want? Or at least what you think you want? Like, are you really living that experience? Ding, ding, ding. And so this word manifestation has been moving through the fields. Everybody's like, come to my workshop, be my coach, read this meditation. And it's like, yeah, you'll manifest the life you want. But that's a little egotistical, don't you think? And so what I want to speak into is the field in which we all are coexisting. And I mean, at this point, if the prayers and the manifestations and all the hopes and things were working, wouldn't we have peace on earth by now? Like, I've been, at least for a decade, praying for some things, but it's kind of getting worse if we look at globally speaking, right? And so the perspective here is like, okay, we have your individual lens, right? Like, I am experience, and then remembrance that you are also a me experience, and all of us are like the eyes of God, Goddess creation. Here in America, we are very privileged to be in this zone that is surrounded by water. So people in a way feel like I'm like on a global island and we're not going to get attacked, like there's no really big wars here. But there are smaller wars. But I'm talking more about the collective right now. So even though perhaps each individually we're kind of like creating our own little heaven on earth, if you will, which is the point, right? You create your version of heaven on earth with the resources and capacity of what you have available. And then hopefully you are becoming fruitful in your passion and your purpose. You're multiplying, procreating if that's what you wish. If not, you're in some way of service to your brothers and sisters. And then the service sometimes takes an elevation to the form of ministry. Your spiritual perspective in your ministry that you get to share, that you've embodied, that you understand. Okay? And so, yeah, what's going on globally is concerning, is aching, is uncomfortable. So it's almost like, well, we're not really manifesting, and the prayers are not really working. So then what? Is the next question. So then what? What do we do? And so then there's this back and forth between I want to rescue the earth, I want to save the people, I want not help, right? And then there's the other spectrum is this hopelessness, I can't do anything about it, so I'm just going to keep going with my day. Right? So then what's the middle point? You know, where do you feel yourself on that spectrum? Right? I'm curious. Because if we look at the metaphysical space, the war is spiritual. It's not of the flesh. Okay? And so then all I can say is it is what it is. Right? No? I don't know. Tell me. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, like, what it all still comes down to is, yes, we know, yes, it's happening. And the truth is, you can only impact what's here. This platform, this field, this social space is the field that we get to connect and share. So thank you for being here and receiving. And so then how can you impact your field, what's around you, who's around you, what's being shared? What is your ministry that you have cultivated, that you have in a way individualized within yourself of who you are becoming? And what do you see yourself serving to the collective, to your brothers and or sisters? What's your message? And so there is something in, like, when we walk with that awareness, a lot of us are priests and priestesses. And we each carry a medicine through the message and the voice. Maybe even heart or touch, whatever the expression is. But many times what I've discovered is that people remember through hearing. Like, it resonates. And so you have a chance every time you speak with someone to affect them. And your tongue is the biggest sword. It can bring life and it can bring death. Okay? And it's important, especially for women, I would say, in these timelines, to be mindful of what you say to your men or to the men, especially younger men, boys. What are the messages that are being shared and carried forth through your tongue? And then beyond the tongue, there's also intention. Lately, I've been talking to my cat, Moonlight. He's not around here, but he's been very receptive. And I actually speak to him in 2 languages, in both Russian and English, and sometimes telepathically. And so eventually, we will all be on that level. And when that field reveals itself, you can't hide anymore. And so imagine if everyone now could hear your mind, what you think, what you say, how you feel. And a lot of us already can. And so it's another dimension of relating. We're not there yet. Some of us, maybe, I don't know. Maybe not, you let me know. But eventually, I think that's where we're gonna be at. In fact, I think words is what, like, actually, in a way, made smaller, I forgot the word, shrinked, our spiritual, telepathic, natural capacity that these bodies used to have. When we were making love in union, sexual penetrative act is the act of making love. Love, energy, frequency, expansion. Think like golden halos around the whole body that transmit information. I don't need to speak. I can hear and I can talk, because through the aura we would receive information. And so this is an ancient technology that humanity lost. And according to this story, it was lost because at some point they stopped making love. And sexuality was being used to conquer, to dominate, to control, to bring harm, instead of to make love. And so really the war, the spiritual war somewhere in some dimensions is on sexes and the disconnection that men and women. Thank you. I guess the peacock came back into his tree. And so, yeah, the disconnection somewhere happened because, according to the story, again, the love has slowed down or stopped, and our auras shrunk, and we started using language to communicate and express what sometimes simply cannot be spoken out loud. Okay, like sometimes I remember like I would have an experience and I'm like, oh my God, I can write a whole book about it. And then I go to write and I'm like, 2 sentences in, that's it. And so sometimes it's actually so much more simpler than what we make it to be. And so I guess if this is the message, then the message would be to be making more love. Make more love through the act of love making. Ding, ding, ding. So there, I went there. That was actually good. Yeah. And then the other rant that I wanted to share about today was around productivity. And that I personally was struggling with productivity because I have the time. I'm my own boss. I can take clients. I often sometimes don't have clients. And so there's been a lot of spaciousness and freedom. And so in a way I had to like re-adult myself. And so yesterday I came up with a schedule for today. And I want to share it and see what you guys think. Okay, so a friend of mine long time ago told me, because she saw it coming, she was like, if you don't get disciplined, your days will just go by. Like you'll be doing the mundane tasks, but you won't accomplish more of yourself. Like you won't get to work on these extra side projects, right? And so I think humanity lost their connection to their satisfying life path, artistry, their craftsmanship. Because of the matrix, the craftsmanship has been lost and forgotten, now outsourced to children in China. And so there's necessity to have space to explore your art, your creativity, your body, your mind, whatever it is that you feel drawn to, beyond just working the career that pays your bills. It's very important. If you are courageous enough and disciplined enough to walk the path of pursuing what you love and making money with it, that's ideal. But I also understand that it's not for everybody, and a lot of people are still part of the offices, the governance, the structures. And so while you're working and that pays your bills, still connect to what is your passionate creative energy how does it want to express? Okay. And so now going back to the schedule. So I found that when I make my own hours, I cannot work longer than like 2-hour work shifts. And so throughout the day, I schedule like a workflow so that I know that I'm coming into work at that time. Before, I would sit on a computer, I would open up a million windows, and I would get anxiety, I would start snacking, and I would just leave, okay? Because it was random whenever I felt like it. So this allows me to do it because I love myself, I respect myself, and I allow myself this space to create. And so from 9 till noon is wake up, morning ritual, hydration, gym, sun, and then breakfast and food. So by noon, that needs to be completed. From 12 to 1, I designated a phone hour. This is a time when I check emails, check for things, look at social media, whatever it is. 1 hour, you go on the phone. All right, then till 4 o'clock, so from 12 till whenever I'm done with my phone, you go into workflow. Usually from like 2 to 4, sometimes 1 to 2 hours on the phone. 2 to 4, workflow. You go into a workflow, focus computer work, tasks that need to get done, boom, 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 getting that dopamine. The dopamine feels good when you're like, yes, I did it, okay? 4:20, smoke, chill, and sunset, okay? I like an afternoon smoke. It's very important, okay? I did it at 4:20, a little later today. This is why I'm recording. And so after 4:20 till 8 o'clock, I have a creative flow. So right now, this is part of my creative flow. This is my arts. This is my craftsmanship. This is my ministry. Thank you for being here. And also, this is me sharing a lifestyle that works for me, and perhaps it could also work for you. And so I am more on a late night dinner person. So usually I eat my breakfast before noon, and then I don't have dinner until 8 to 10 p.m. And so 9 to 11, I have dinner. And then after dinner, there's options, okay? I like to give myself options because I don't like to be like, this is what you're gonna do and there's no other way around it. Like my inner child will be like, fuck you, I'm gonna go do the opposite, okay? Like I know her, so I gotta give her options. So after dinner, if I don't wanna rest, okay, we have another focused workflow, but this is like smoke and workflow. Okay, this is my second smoke of the day in the evening times. Sometimes I'll have like a green tea if I feel like, okay, tonight is the night. Tonight feels like a night, like I can stay up later. Okay, it's Tuesday, I'm going on Wednesday. Also, Wednesday is fire day, it's Mars day. So like tomorrow is a good energetic day to get shit done, okay? In addition to scheduling these days, I've also allowed myself 3 days to see sessions, okay? I do Tantra sessions. They're 2 to 3 to 4 hours long. I don't do more than 1 to 2 sessions a day tops, okay? So that gives me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to focus in and allow those times for one-on-one work. And then depending on when the client is during the day, I would work in everything from here except the smoke and the workflow, okay? Saving that for after. Usually I don't do computer work if I'm also seeing a client. That's too much going on. But I will save if I feel like I have energy, a smoke, desire after the session, okay? So that's something that I prioritize. Thank you guys for being here. It is sunset as it's getting darker. So I feel really proud of being able to now have time and energy and mental capacity to take myself through more like disciplined, structured day to day. And yeah, I'm excited. It's almost dinner time, so I'm gonna go ahead and tonight I am making meatball marinara, like a meat marinara sauce pasta, but the meat is Wagyu ground beef. Hold on, beef is Wagyu. Ground Wagyu. I'm making ground Wagyu sauce with pasta. Okay, super excited. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Sometimes my videos like have a lot of information. Things are coming and going, and so sometimes I know you have to go through and re-listen. So I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And until I see you next time. Ciao, ciao.